This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Eiffel TV in association with MTK Global. This is the aftermath video of Haye.
Aftermath.
Aftermath?
Dr. Dre. The aftermath.
Aftermath.
Is it the aftermath or the aftermath? Shows how thick we are, doesn't it? I think it's the aftermath. I think it's spelled aftermath.
Aftermath.
I'm going to shut up before I make myself seem even more stupid.
Okay, well listen, after a very eventful weekend, there's only one place to start. Your celebration. When Bellew completely mugged you.
I said to Bellew last night, I said, do you remember when we did that Matchroom Fight Pass video? And his debut for Matchroom, he got into the ring to fight Edison Miranda. Yeah. And I went to fist pump him, and he walked straight past me. Yeah. And I've only just got over that clip, to be honest with you. And I think he's one of my good mates. And he's gone like that, I've grabbed him and I've jumped on his back, he's gone, get off. And then, but it was my face up. But you couldn't see him. I was thinking, what's he done? He's gone to see Haye. And I've gone, all right. And I turned around, and the worst thing was, my old man was there. It was like, Dad! He just cuddled him instead. Oh mate, the clips have been cracking me out. It was proper cringe. I've got the worst ring set, like the worst celebrations ever. But I can't help it because it means so much. Like, people say to me, oh, you want it to be all about yourself. I don't. What you see is honestly how I'm feeling. I can't tell you. It's just, I don't care. Like, if I was stark bollock naked, I would have jumped in that ring. And just, like, I couldn't, there was nothing in my mind other than just pure emotion, celebration, relief, happiness, everything. It was just such a special night.
Bellew actually pushed Caldwell off, but Caldwell kind of had his back to the camera, so he was.
You couldn't see his face.
Yeah,
no, you saw mine though. Fuckers, aren't they?
You looked distraught. You genuinely looked that.
Do you know what? I don't even actually remember it. I sort of went. But what I was doing is I was thinking, what? And then he went over to see Haye, and when I realised that that's what he was doing, I sort of turned around, and but even more classic, there was my old man. He was like, "Daddy." Oh no, it's the worst thing. But what a night.
Let's just get a bit of negative out of the way, really. We've had a little bit of stick because everyone was kind of saying that the injury to Haye was kind of overlooked in a lot of our stuff, and how can you count that as a proper win because of the injury to Haye and everything? And from that side of it, can you see why some people would think or could suggest that it wasn't a proper win?
If I was a big Haye fan, but it's a fight, right? And it's called a fight for a reason, because you have to stay in there mentally, physically, spiritually to win the fight. And I can't lie and say that we didn't think or hope that if we took him into the deep rounds of the fight that his body wouldn't break down. That was always, we felt that could be a possibility. He's 36, he hasn't been active, he's suffered from injuries, and whether it was his shoulder or his knee or whatever, we felt that the longer you kept him in a physical fight, the more chance you had of him gassing, him quitting, him folding, him getting injured, anything like that. So, would he have won the fight without Haye's injury? I can't answer that question for you. I believe Haye gassed in the fight, but Haye also had an injury, can't it? Someone said to me, you haven't mentioned that he was injured. Do you know he was injured? Of course I know he was injured. And he showed probably one of the biggest hearts I have seen in a British boxing ring, David Haye. I mean, to carry on, and obviously Bellew goaded him in the build-up, don't quit, and whether that sat in his mind or not, but to carry on, I think he should have been pulled out of the fight after 7 or 8 rounds. But it's a fight, and as brutal or as horrible as it might sound, it's last man standing, and there wasn't anything illegal went on. It's not Tony Bellew's fault that, but what's pissing me off actually more than anything is the lack of credit for Bellew. So to counter you're not talking about the injury, what about some credit for Tony Bellew, who everyone said was going to get knocked out in a round or 2 rounds, who took every shot David Haye had in his arsenal flush on his chin and kept going. No one wanted to fight Dave. You know, he's like, people know, oh, well, he's a bit shot when Hay, you know. It's like not the same fighter. But before it was like, oh, he's the most dangerous heavyweight in the world, he's this, he's that. So it's not a case of, you know, a few tweets, people saying, oh, you were very disrespectful jumping in, celebrating like that. Mate, did you see the build-up? Like, what did you expect me to do? Get in and show no emotion? That's what it meant to me. That's what it meant to the team. That's what it meant to Tony Bellew. No, it was a high octane build-up. A lot of things were said. Some things were said they weren't meant. Some were said off the cuff. Some were meant with meaning and hurt. And I like winning. I love winning. And I've never been so pleased to win, probably, as I was on Saturday night. So fuck it. I mean, that's it. That's, you know, I feel sorry for Hay that he picked up an injury, and part of me wishes he didn't, because I would have liked to see the fight unfold without injury as well. But this is fight. It's a fight game. What do you know? Injuries happen. You battle for it. Tony Bellew fractured his hand in the second round. It's not as restrictive an injury as the Achilles, but he still carried on. You know, that's what you do.
I mean, what about people just saying that Tony Bellew beat a man with one leg? That straight statement there.
Well, he beat a man who picked up an injury after he threw the kitchen sink at Bellew. The fight would have been harder for Bellew if he didn't have an injury. Of course it would. But he picked up the injury because Bellew was able to push him physically and take him the rounds. If he knocked him out in 2 or 3 rounds, there would never have been an injury. It would never have been a torn Achilles, or you understand what I'm saying? So the injury came because Bellew was able to take him to those parts in the fight, which no one thought he could do, by the way. So 6 is 1.5. You can debate it all day long, can't you?
Why do you think that he wasn't pulled out of the fight earlier?
That's a question for David and Shane. I think David showed he has a huge amount of heart and a massive set of nuts. I think 99% of men on this planet would have quit in that fight. I would have. Would you?
I think most.
I know, like, it's just, you know, I don't want to be taking. I mean, he took a lot of punishment in that fight.
It could have done him more damage in the long run.
But, and I don't necessarily blame Shane McGuigan. Those two aren't. They're not entwined with each other spiritually. Do you know what I mean? You get some trainers and fighters who are like, you know, their relationship is just so deep and they know each other inside out, whereas Shane really doesn't with David. So I think he asked him a couple of times in the corner, do you want me to pull you out? But a fighter's never going to really say, no, you have to pull a fighter out of the fight, because you have to save them from themselves ultimately. But I'm sure David wanted to fight on, and he did. And like I said, he deserves a huge amount of respect. I didn't like the boos that Hay got after the fight, because I'm not saying that I'm his biggest fan, and you know, there's been plenty said in the past, but you can't have anything but admiration for David Hay for what he did in the ring. I just hope Tony Bellew gets the credit he deserves, because everybody wrote him off in the fight.
I mean, despite what happened to David, which was unfortunate in the fight, it wasn't Bellew's fault.
Bellew, like I said, if Bellew would have got knocked out in the 2nd or 3rd round, there wouldn't have been an injury. But we always felt that take him into the 5th, 6th round. We said it in the build-up. There's no secrets. Bellew will take over in the fight, and whether he would have without him, I believe he would have. Again, we could debate it all day long, but there was always the prospect of Hay not being able to physically handle the 12 rounds, and he couldn't physically handle the 12 rounds. That's the truth. He picked up an injury. He was extremely tired. But when you say about anyone's fault, that's boxing. You've got to be able to fight. and he couldn't fight in the end to the best of his abilities because of his injury and because he was very tired.
What now for, let's talk about David Haye first. I know it's not your say really, but what do you think will happen with Haye, dependent on obviously how bad this Achilles injury is?
I think he'll want a rematch.
There's no rematch clause, is there?
No.
It wasn't asked for.
No, it would have been signed immediately with a split of the, a reverse of the split, and they were that sure they'd win the fight. I don't think they even thought about a rematch clause. They were thinking about Joshua, Wilder, Parker, and beyond that. So.
I mean, Shane said that constantly in the build-up to that.
Yeah,
they're training for
exactly,
what's after. Yeah.
Was that too bright?
If you can suffer it, it's fine.
Thanks. Does it look alright now?
It's fine.
So I think Haye will want the rematch. I also think no one really knows the extent of the injury. He hasn't snapped his. If you snap your Achilles, you cannot walk. Like you actually can't get up. So whether he's torn it or a slight rupture, or it's obviously a bad injury. But once I guess we find out, I think he had an operation yesterday, something like that. Yeah.
They put a statement out yesterday.
So hopefully it's not too bad. Would we entertain a rematch? Absolutely.
I think everyone would want to see that.
Yeah, and we didn't get treated badly in the run up in the negotiations. We had to take a few bits on the chin, which if we had whopping big egos, I don't think Tony would have accepted. So obviously they've got to be reversed and replicated. And it's a big fight. And Tony's not against giving him a rematch. He said prior to the fight, I'll give you a rematch. But I'd probably half an hour, 40 minutes with Tony on the phone last night, and he's already thinking about, I think anyone does, what the next step is. And I just said to him, I need to know from you what value you put on fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world and possibly becoming world heavyweight champion. Like, does that appeal to you? And he said, fucking not half. I said, because that's about your legacy. Money, you made a fortune Saturday night, you're going to make an absolute fortune in your next fight. So, but I need to get in your head, do you want to fight Deontay Wilder? They've already been on. Do you want to fight Joseph Parker? They've already been on. So make those fights like that. But do you want to fight at heavyweight? Do you want to try and win the heavyweight championship of the world? What is motivating you? And I don't think those answers will come out for another 2 or 3 weeks. Just let everything calm down. It looks like hopefully he doesn't need knock on his hand, but he could do. We'll find out this week once the swelling goes down. But once you get in fights of these sides, he'll only fight once more this year, and I think it will be September, October, and so there's no rush. Just at the moment, everyone's mind's racing. Oh, what's it going to be? But in answer to your question, we would certainly entertain a rematch. If it's a bad Achilles injury, which I'm guessing it is, I'm not sure he'll ever fight again. And if he does, it won't be for another 7, 8, 9 months anyway. So maybe we take an interim fight. Maybe we fight for the world heavyweight title and then fight Haye after. I don't know.
What would be
astonishing? What was that? This story of Tony Bellew. I can't tell you how proud I am of it. I mean, I think the first fight I was involved with was Danny McIntosh at the Echo Arena. And I remember, and ironically...
Co-promotion with Caldwell.
Ironically, Dave Caldwell, I think he won the purse bid on that fight. We both, me and Caldwell, did our conkers that night. There's only about 2,500 turned up. And couldn't believe it. And after that, I signed Tony. And at the time, we weren't massive, we weren't mega. And he really stood up for himself and come and sign for us and put a lot on the line to do that. We gave him a couple of fights, Chilemba of course, got him in a final eliminator position. I mean, Chilemba 1 was one of the worst fights in British boxing history.
You think?
And he was up there with Johnny Nelson and Carlos Dillian. I just remember in that fight after about 7 rounds, like looking up at the Echo, and we sold a load of tickets that night. And I just saw people walking down the steps leaving after like 7 rounds. I was thinking, who does that? And then we did the rematch at the O2 on the Kessler Froch bill, and he got ridiculed so bad for that first fight that his career was kind of on the line that night, and he won in a much better fight. And then we went to Canada and he boxed with Donnie Stevenson. And I'll never forget talking to him in a side room before the weigh-in, just looking at him. He looked like that camera leg. He was like a skeleton. And he went out, he got stopped in the 6th, 7th round. And I told him in the change room after, you've got to move up to cruiserweight, mate. He's killing you this weight. And he did, and he's been great, you know. Again, he had the build-up for the Cleverly fight, which was a great build-up. Did loads of pay-per-view buys, and it was a complete stinker. And again, after that, I was thinking, Jesus, I don't know what we're going to do now. And he got the Creed movie. Then he came back with a couple of small wins. And I said, you're going to have a proper fight. And he boxed at the O2 again against Matthias Masternak. And again, he was pretty much fighting for his career that night. And that was a great fight. Very tough fight, Masternak. Beat him on points. And then, you know, we got the break and we worked hard to get the Makabu fight. Did it at Goodison Park, just a night we'll never ever forget. Had the Flores fight and then ends up moving up to heavyweight and beating David Haye. I mean, this guy from losing to Nathan Cleverly for the world title, then losing to Adonis Stevenson, to move up to cruiserweight to win the world title, and then to move to heavyweight and beat David Haye. And now, on the verge of challenging for the world heavyweight title. This is an incredible story. And you know why he's got there?
You.
Oh yeah, no. Yes, but the other reason, plenty of heart, mate. Plenty of heart. You will never. People used to say to me, "That Tony Bellew, oh, what a knob he is." But I said, "Mate, I promise you, you know him."
I've said this to people.
He is one of the nicest blokes you could ever. The most real men. He would do anything for you. Like, obviously not anyone, but for the people around him, anything. And to see him earn money over his career and do well, but to see him do that on Saturday, pick up, you know, and not going on about money, but pick up the chance to just be comfortable for the rest of his life and his kid's life, and now go on. If he would have lost on Saturday night, I might have said to him, "You got to fight the winner of Brady's and Huck." You know what, mate? Maybe it's time to jack it in. Now we're free rolling. He can do anything he wants. It's such a great story. So proud of him. I mean, it's brilliant to see fighters go and just change their life. He can't believe it. He has no idea what is happening to him and where this is going to go. And I can't wait to just see him enjoy all the rewards.
What's going to be the situation with the WBC cruiserweight title?
Well, he's got a decision to make. You know, stay at cruiserweight. You've got to be fighting the winner of Brady's against Huck. It's a really good fight, but you know,
Off the back of that,
yeah, it's not David Haye, it's not Deontay Wilder, it's not Joseph Parker. But he still says winning that title at Goodison Park was the proudest moment of my life, you know, and of his career. And even above Saturday night. And that belt means a lot to him. So it's definitely not, vacate that. It's take my time. They're fighting on April the 1st, those two. So, you know, you've got 2 or 3 weeks or even beyond that to make a decision. So, but that belt means a lot to him. So, you know, he may retire. He may retire. I don't think he will, but seeing him after the fight and on Sunday, it's one of them where, you know, he's sort of like, oh, body's a bit, how many more times can I do this? I believe he only has, if he doesn't retire, I believe he only has 1, 2 or 3 fights left. 3, not even 3, 2 fights left. And I wouldn't want him to go, you know, why look at what he's achieved. British, Commonwealth, European, World Cruiserweight, Just moved up, beat one of the best heavyweights in the world. Probably challenged for the world heavyweight title.
You're saying that if he doesn't stay at cruiserweight, so if he vacates that belt, and you're saying his next fight, how likely to be for a world title?
I think he has 3 options. Well, he has plenty of options, but the 3: Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, David Haye. I mean, there's other big fights out there. Dillian White has been calling out Tony, you know.
Yeah.
Even Chisora, his best mate, sort of said to me, you know, don't rule it out. And the White fight is a big fight as well. But I think coming out the back of a Haye fight, he's certainly thinking Wilder, Parker. And I don't think the Haye rematch is like sitting in his head, but there's a lot to consider when you look at the Haye rematch in terms of Haye's future. But we certainly would have no problem rematching David Haye.
How many buys did it do?
A lot.
That's a lot.
You know, I'm not in the business of handing out a lot more, maybe. It was one of the biggest box office fights of all time. One of. So, you know. And another good thing was it was an incredible night. It was hugely entertaining, thrilling viewing. Dramatic, thrilling viewing. So
stunning.
But and again, I'm quite open with the fact that if it's a big main event where both guys getting a lot of money, the undercard is not quite as strong as if it was like Joshua Molina, for example, spent more than double on the undercard. And of course, it was a lot better because you get what you pay for. But then, if Bellew-Haye hadn't have been what it was, we would have probably sitting here. If Haye would have knocked him out in a round, we would have been sitting here today saying,
I probably wouldn't have come here.
No, I wouldn't have turned up. I wouldn't have been in all week.
But that's what everyone thought that was going to happen.
But look, everybody's trying to do pay-per-view. Don't worry and think that Eddie Hearn's the evil guy who just wants to do Everybody wants to do it. And they will do it, and they'll try and do it. We just saw one on ITV. I'm sure you'll see others on other channels as well. But ours have to be the creme de la creme. They have to be the governors. They have to be the ones that you can't miss and do give you value for money. And I do not believe one person left that arena on Saturday night and even considered whether they got value for money. It was just an absolute given. And that makes me very proud as a promoter. And probably a little bit of my emotion was that it was such an amazing night. You know, I want to give great nights. I'm a promoter. I don't want punters and customers to turn around and say, oh shit, you're not coming back there, waste of money. There's nothing I love more than the viewer or the seat holder leaving an event saying, that was the nuts. And that's what everyone's done. So I'm really pleased. The media's been sensational. It was on, yesterday I'm sitting there, BBC News, ITV News, the main national news. You know, when does that happen? Good and bad. Some bad stuff on Fight Week. I had BBC 5 Live phone me yesterday. God, they were going in. You know, but do you think that what was said and this is a bad image for the sport? And should it be? I said, I actually said, listen, why have you just done a new deal with me, radio rights deal, if you're so against boxing? Boxing is hotter than it's ever been. It used to be a one broadcaster show, Sky. The only ones interested in backing British boxing. Now, BT, Channel 5, ITV, others. It's the hottest it's ever been. So, yes, we know we have a code of conduct we must follow. And David crossed that tenfold last week. Whether he was selling a fight, whether Bellew got under his skin, I believe a little bit of both. But he went well OTT. But it happened. And I keep saying, these aren't normal people. they're fighters that they're unique, and you put them in situations, you goad them, they goad each other, people goad them on social media, they're going to flip out. And they're going to say things they don't mean. They're going to behave like they shouldn't. But it's our jobs as, not the authority, but promoters, to contain them. Now, should we have taken them to Liverpool for that presser? Well, you're nodding your head going, yeah, but many said no, that we shouldn't have put them in that situation. We have to sell the show, we have to build the show, we have to hype the show. Got to get people excited.
But listen, you say about Liverpool. When did it ever threaten to get anything more than words?
Yeah, but who? You're not. Your line of thinking doesn't sit with the general public. In your head, as long as no one gets clumped, it's been a success.
What's wrong with that?
No, because others get offended by things people say. Some people, it does personally insult them because of their situation. So you can't just say, well, no one nutted anyone, do you know what I mean? Like when I go down to the board, I'm not going to bring KUGAN with me and go, well, I ain't being funny, Robert Smith. Like, no one got nutted or no one clumped anyone, did they? What's the big deal? We're trying to bring in corporate sponsors. We've got an image to protect to the sport. So, and lines were crossed verbally, not physically. We did a good job making sure they couldn't get each other physically. But things were said and they shouldn't have been said, and it's over now. As always in the sport of boxing, and particularly on Saturday, what the guys did in the ring kind of didn't completely eradicate it, but there was a show of respect that was wonderful to see. And again, people say, oh, look at them hugging now, it's all a set-up. It's like, but it's like Dylan White and Derek Chisora. Oh, it was all for show. So what, when he picked up a table and slammed my head? And someone said on Saturday, said, oh, was that a set, was that all scripted on Saturday? I went, what? They went, the fight. I went, yeah, David was just limping around taking like 40 punches to the head around, just like it was all in the script. It was mad. You know, you're around these people. There's beef. There is bad blood. But after it's said and done, and they've had a tear up, and they've put their souls and their health and everything on the line, there's going to be respect. These guys have come through the system, the amateur system. People don't realise what the amateur game does for young kids and children in terms of the opportunities, and also in terms of giving them direction and discipline and structure in their life. And these guys have been through the amateur setup. They are sportsmen. They behave sportsman-like when they're engaging, when they're in the sport. It's just in the build-ups, they can go a little bit OTT.
Talk about the undercard. We didn't really get a chance to talk about it the other day. Let's start with O'Hara Davis, who was obviously very pivotal to the whole Liverpool thing as well. And Derry Matthews. I mean, firstly about Derry Matthews, 52 fights, great, like you said in your Sky interview, a great servant to British boxing. But it's probably right that Derry called it a day now.
Yeah,
I mean, he of his own admission.
Yeah, he had the Campbell fight, and I always felt that £135 was getting very tough for him to make. Moved up to 140, had a great camp, was very confident going into the O'Hara Davis fight. O'Hara Davis is just a bad man. He's just very, very good, and he hits very, very hard. Derry has been a joy to work with, loved having him on the Matchroom shows. He's always, behaved himself, done everything he's ever said he was going to do. I hope that he's enjoyed being part of our shows as well. And yeah, I think what he does, and quite a lot of people won't know what he does for the community in Liverpool, which is a hell of a lot. He's a good guy. Boxing, again, going back to the boxing debate, people don't realise how many good people there are in boxing, and what fighters do away from the ring as well, for kids, for the community. And Derry's one of those guys that you know, boxing's his life really, and he'll stay in boxing and he'll be a good trainer. You know, he's a good motivator, and he's going to provide a lot of opportunities for people in Liverpool. O'Hara is just a very, very special talent. You know, Derry felt out hard, he punches, and honestly, if this guy keeps his head down, which I believe he will, if he stays humble, which I believe he will, and don't be too fooled by all that stuff in Liverpool. And when we see him in the office, it's easy for me to say because I've got to show. Part of me doesn't want to show you guys the real O'Hara Davis because I'm quite happy for him to do his thing, but I know you'll like him, and I know that you'll be impressed by his story and his struggle. But it doesn't really matter because he's going to go on and win world championships.
We saw kind of Derry Matthews, the first sort of name, if you like, on O'Hara's record now.
Mm-hmm.
How long before we see him with a fight that people are going to go, wow?
Yeah, I think O'Hara's still learning, but at the same time, him, Tony, Charlie, they all believe he can beat virtually, well, anyone domestically. There's some really good fights out there for him. I really like the Josh Taylor fight. I think that's such a good fight, and I rate Josh Taylor. I think he's a good fighter.
It wouldn't be that hard to make that fight, would it?
No, and I think that is, if it's not what we try and make next, it will be the fight after. Until we get to a level, I mean, I think O'Hara's going to be top 10 in 2, maybe 3 governing bodies. I'm not saying he's ready for a world title shot, but yeah, the Josh Taylor fight is a great fight, really good fight, and tough fight, very tough fight for both guys. Maybe too early for them, you know, because they're both building and learning. That's not how the fans look at it, but just telling you the truth about how the camps feel. Hasn't been discussed with them, but I'm sure Barry McGuigan and Shane, although they probably believe Josh would win the fight, do you want to go in and have that kind of fight at this stage in your career? O'Hara has a little bit less to lose, but now has a bit more to lose. Like when he was coming through, he had to be in those slightly tougher fights because he wasn't a huge ticket seller. He wasn't someone that Sky knew about and were looking to build. Now all of a sudden he's grabbed the attention and people are saying, "Wow, this kid can really fight." He's got to be in those learning fights and stepping up the levels. And Josh Taylor and fights like that, you know, I think are all there in 2017.
One of our biggest clips from the week was the Dave Howe Wayne had 250,000 hits.
That's because he put a pair of socks down his jockstrap.
Even my interview from that day at over 100,000.
Internet cult.
Definitely. Yeah, listen, he only fought the week before, so, you know, credit to Dave Howe taking the fight because he fought the week before as well. But plans for Mr. Allen? Yeah,
again, the only thing we've got to do is keep your feet on the ground and just keep working hard. So the only danger with Dave, and it hasn't happened yet, and I'm not sure it will happen, is just to get carried away with all this madness of the internet and the support, and because it's great for him, and I really appreciate the support people are giving him, but in the grand scheme of things, it's great to have, but it means nothing, you know, in terms of his boxing. And what he has got, he's plenty of heart, a great chin, and he can punch. His disadvantages are he has a hell of a lot to learn. He doesn't move his head at all, and he was getting pinged with a jab in the first round, and willing just to walk forward and to land that shot. As you move up the levels, as he has done in the past, you can't do that. So I was thinking about boxing on a crawler card. I'm probably going to move him to Glasgow or Liverpool just to give him a couple of weeks. He just needs to. He's had 2 fights in 2 weeks. Just have a week or so ticking over. 2 fights in a week, and then start a proper camp and give yourself 5 or 6 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks to really. I'd like him to bring his weight down a little bit, and I would like him to box one more 6-rounder, then an 8-rounder, and then I'd like him to fight a Lewinson or someone like that, for either a final eliminator or even fight for the British title. But there's no tearing rush with Dave Allen. You know, I think he's had a wonderful week, like you said. He'd fight. If we had a show next Saturday, he wants to keep on fighting. Sometimes, if you just keep fighting, you don't get a chance to sit back and actually evaluate your performance, where you're at, how you're doing. So maybe that'll be a week or two of doing that, and then back to camp and ready for Glasgow or Liverpool.
Do you think Dave Allen will ever fight for a world title?
I think fighting for a world title is not just about whether you're good enough to win a world title. Sometimes you are the right guy. Sometimes you have the right profile. Sometimes you have the right support. So, in terms of his ability, can he fight for a world title? Yeah, I believe he can. Can he win a world title? I think it's impossible to say. Based on, at the moment, I think you'd have to say no. But I've no idea how much he's going to improve. I hope he's going to improve a lot. I believe he will. But to sit here now and tell you, is he going to change for a world title? We're talking about having 2 or 3 more 6-rounders. You know.
No,
but I'm going to be
in
there.
His head.
The only thing that I can tell you is, if he is good enough, if he keeps on winning, he will get a shot at the world title, because I will deliver it. But we're miles off that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
At the moment, my plan for Dave Allen is to try and win a British title. Once you pick that up, we'll see where it takes us. But that is phase 2 is of Operation White Rhino, is to win a British title, and we're in phase 1 at the moment, and we're halfway through phase 1. So just enjoy it. Enjoy Dave Allen. Keep supporting him, and he must keep his head down and just. He's got an opportunity here, and he deserves it. It's not like I fancy that I'm a philanthropist or just want to be a saviour. I like him. I think he can fight. I think he's entertaining. So give him a chance. He's got the chance. It's up to him to not mess it up.
Katie Taylor.
Which was excellent. So exciting. Again, like when taking away what everybody in Britain is talking about at the moment, which is Hey Bellew. If you were in the arena or you were watching at home, what else would have caught your eye? You know, would it have been Eggington Malinaji fight? Would it have been O'Hara's performance? Even Cheeseman Sellers was good. I think a lot of people would have said Katie Taylor. I think a lot of people would have said that was a standout performance. That was entertaining, fast pace, fast action. And she'll move on now. She'll box on a crawler card on March 25th, and she's not far away now. You know, I think she'll box on there, possibly Wembley. Like to get her out once in the States. So 3 more fights, and then a world title. And I think that's.
She was meant to be on the Golovkin card, wasn't she?
Yeah.
What happened?
Basically, we agreed a deal in principle for Katie Taylor to box on the Golovkin card. If we were going to do the Golovkin fight on Sky, we wanted a British fighter or one of our guys on the bill. Tom Loeffler was over the moon with that. HBO were over the moon with that. But Top Rank were going the night before with Conlon and an Irish Paddy's Day card. And they threw their toys out the pram and threatened to sue if Katie Taylor was on the card, because they felt that it would detract from the Irish card on the Friday night, so she wasn't allowed. So we didn't do the TV deal.
I never know that.
Yeah, disappointing, but not a problem. She boxed on the hay bill instead, and now she boxed on the crawler card. But she must box in America in May. She will.
Excuse me. Great win for Sam Eggington against Paulie Malinaji. Speaking to him obviously before the fight, he said the fact that it was Paulie Malignaggi, that kind of meant more to him than fighting for a European title. Whatever. Kind of see, where it's coming from with that.
Another guy, just an incredible story. This guy was a forklift truck driver who turned up at John Pegg's gym, said, do a bit of boxing, I want to become a journeyman, I want to go and just fight and to make some money. So John Pegg stuck him in the ring sparring, and he had an absolute war. John Pegg says, you can't be a journeyman. He said, why not? He said, because you're just going to get yourself in wars every week. You can't do that as a journeyman. You've got to survive and move on to fight next week. So look at him now, and again, Sam Eggington is my dad's project. My dad loves Sam Eggington, and I do too, but kind of leave it to him because he's like, the Gavin fight was a big win. The Skeet fight was a real kick in the nuts because he just wasn't himself that night. Skeet boxed really well, but he learned a lot that night, and to come through with a Gavin win, then the Malignaggi win, and now hopefully the European title. So
who will that be for?
The champion, Serafino Rodriguez. Looking to try and make that for May the 13th. So just been put out to Persepolis today actually. But what a great story. He's still only young. And his last 3 fights have all been fights that the styles have been a nightmare for Sam Eggington. Skeet, Gavin, Malignaggi. You can't get more awkward. So when he comes back into a style that's going to suit him more, I think you'll see that. But his boxing's improved a lot. And it's actually, the Malignaggi fight was starting to become very nip and tuck. I thought Paulie was coming back into the fight.
What was he doing for about 20 seconds?
We just stood there, letting him unload him.
Smiling.
I know. But Paulie was nicking some rounds, being very clever, and then a beautiful body shot ended it all. Massive win for Sam.
Shout out to Jake Bonnelly.
Oh yeah, the
Big-
kid.
big,
that was a shock. Craig Glover,
yeah.
who he's 2-0 going into.
And that was his debut.
Actually managed by Tony Bellew. I've watched his first 2 fights, and I really rate Craig Glover. He was poor on Saturday. Didn't look fit. Fought
Jake Bonnelly,
who was on his debut, who was inspired. I think couldn't believe what was going on. He's on the Hay Bellew card. Got battered for the first round, and then came back and won the next 3 rounds. And we'll have him back. It was a great fight, and obviously it's a big blow for Craig Glover to lose at that stage of his career.
Good little fight between Cheeseman and Jack Sellers.
Really good fight, yeah. Great learning fight for Cheeseman, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to Sellers. He's a good little boxer as well, but how he got up from that right hand, I'll never know. And he actually came back into the fight a little bit as well. Really good fight that was.
Lee Selby, good finish from Lee Selby. What's going on with Lee Selby then? Obviously, as in regards to yourself and.
Well, his contract's up with us. I'm just really disappointed with what's happened to Lee Selby. It's a travesty, really. After the Gradovich win, May 2015, he had the world at his feet. It's such a great win, and we'd done a few bits in Wales. I just wanted him to go back to Wales and defend in September, then box again in December, and then box another 4 times the year after, try and unify. And we're sitting here now, almost 2 years on from the Gradovich win, and he's had 2 world title defences in a 10-rounder in 2 years, and he's been completely 100% fit the whole time. So I would have boxed him 2, 5, would have boxed 6 times by now, and I believe he would have been in a wonderful position. He went to try and crack America or whatever it was, and it's been a disaster for him. And I feel very sorry for Lee Selby. Certainly no fault of his own. But from where he was after beating Gradovich to his profile now, It's completely different, and he's a brilliant fighter. He hasn't got his confidence. You could see that in that fight, and you can't have your confidence when you've been so inactive. So I hope for his sake he can go on and kick on now. I don't think Santa Cruz will fight Frampton. So if I was Selby's guys, I would be trying to push for the Santa Cruz unification. But you know, it's been a rough ride for him. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're asking, are you going to work with me? No.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Lee Selby a lot, and I like the Santa guys as well. I think they do a good job, but they haven't on this one. And I think if I was in the management team now, I would just push for a big fight in America. And they don't really need me for that, you know. Happy to listen to them and talk to them about the future, but I don't see why, really, at this stage in their career, they need me. They're not going to be part of, you know, headlining huge UK shows because the profile has dropped so much. So I think he's a brilliant fighter, and I think he should chase the big unification fights in America.
Have we missed any fights out? Or was that your card?
That's it.
That's it. Mm. So, after the fights, there was a little exchange of words between DeGale and Groves.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you saw on that internet channel. What's going on? Because obviously...
That internet channel, you?
Yeah.
You with your camera at ringside upsetting people?
Yeah. I've spoken to people who've cleared it.
Okay.
Ish. Yeah. Apologies if anyone was offended. So we learned about this phone call that George had phoned James when he was in, and someone gave the phone to James, and they spoke on the phone for 15 minutes or whatever. This was according to James, what he's saying in the video. And they're saying that this all comes down to a matter of split, percentage, whatever. Can you shed any light on this? I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I mean, you've got James DeGale's in a situation where he's got a mandatory, but DeGale is injured. He's just had an operation on his nose, so that mandatory is probably going to fight Andre Dirrell for an interim belt or a final eliminator. And whether James is allowed a voluntary, you know, will be at the discretion of the IBF, and ultimately how quickly he recovers before that bout takes place. Really, his two big British fights is Callum Smith and George Groves. So we actually lost the purse bid yesterday for Callum Smith and Anthony Dirrell, which was a bit of a kick in the nuts, but...
By a lot?
No, we bid 1.2 million, and Tom Brown, who's Heyman,
Warriors.
won it for... No, Tom Brown, not Warriors.
Okay, sorry.
Won it with 1.6 million. So it's 60-40 to the winner. So it's a good payday for Callum. And unfortunately, Anthony Dirrell didn't want to come to the UK.
Which you kind of knew anyway.
Yeah. And he was willing to take a lot less money than the purse bid split. So when that happens, your actual bid of 1.6 million actually isn't 1.6 million.
Yeah, you've explained this.
And
before. Yeah.
Callum, you know, and Joe didn't want to take any less money, which I don't blame him for because it's a tough sport. So, you know, it's hard to bid more. I mean, even on 1.2 million, we're probably losing 300 grand on a show. So, you know, people say, wow, how can you lose that bid? It's like, well... So, James, you know, you've still got the Callum Smith fight. He hasn't signed yet for Dirrell, but ultimately he's going to fight, I believe, Anthony Dirrell for the WBC title. And you've got the George Groves fight, which remains one of the biggest fights in Britain. I would love to be part of the build-up for that fight. It would be gold. But unfortunately, you've got two guys that just cannot stand each other. And it's not as if people say it's a manipulated hype. It's like, it's a grudge that's been, 20 years old, probably, something like that. So, I don't think we can necessarily get it over the line. And you are probably arguing about 5% at the moment. So there is a chance you could see DeGale Groves 3.
The 3, yeah. So, just going back to Callum Smith, where and when do you think?
Well, they have to give a date within the next 14 days.
Do you think June, maybe?
Yeah, probably something like that. I mean, anything can happen. You know, they've got to put the deposit down, they've got to give us a date. But, yeah, I believe Callum can win that fight wherever it is. You know, and if he wins the fight, he's going to get nearly $1 million. So, that's a good payday for him, a great opportunity. The DeGale fight was there for him, but he wanted to go down the WBC route because that's the route that he's worked for and we've worked for so long. And I admire him for that. You know, there's much more money in the DeGale fight.
But that DeGale fight can still happen.
Can, yeah. Go and win the WBC and you're in a fantastic position. So they've really gone for gold, which is, I think, admirable because they could have just taken the DeGale fight for a lot more money in the UK. But they decided to chase the Dirrell fight and listen, let's go and get that win. And then he's going to be in a fantastic position to go and have some big pay-per-view British super fights.
Just finally, just about Dillian Whyte. I spoke to Dillian actually yesterday. He's like fixated
with the Bellew fight.
Tony Bellew.
He phoned me yesterday, and I couldn't sleep on Saturday night. We only left the arena at about 3 o'clock, and I was just sitting in bed, just reading social media, and every time I seemed to open a tweet, it was people playing the video of me running in the ring, taking the piss out of me. So I was like laughing, and then I woke up, and kids woke me up at like 7:30 on Sunday morning, and then I can't remember what time he phoned me, but I just remember I was actually laying on the bed and I looked at my phone, and it was Dillian Whyte. I was like, and I knew what he was going to say, and I went, Dill, and he went, get me the Bellew fight, will you? It's a perfect fight, do huge numbers, blah blah blah. I said, look, we'll see. You know, I said that I think Tony's looking at a world title or so forth, but you know, all these guys are up there. Dillian's up there as well. You know, he's on the verge now.
Where is he in the WBC? 3rd or 4th?
4. It's a bit like Luis Ortiz. He's kind of sitting there. He's mandatory for the WBA. He's number 2 in the WBC. He's well ranked in the IBF. So it's like, do you have a big, tough 50-50 fight now, or do you just bide your time and wait for your shot? With Dillian's still learning. He's still improving. So, you know, and you saw the stuff with Chisora. Chisora is the biggest fight out there for Dillian Whyte financially, but you got to understand with Dillian, he's not bothered to take less money to improve and to position himself better in the world rankings. Do you know what I mean? And again, that is admirable because a lot of fighters turn around and say, you know, you can earn X to fight this guy, which is quite a tough fight, but it's going to put you in a good position, or you can earn 5X to fight Chisora. Well, I don't really feel like the Chisora fight's going to take me to where I need to get to. That's the fight I'm going to take. Clever move, smart move, it's the right move. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, the fighter and the team would say, we'll go for that big money fight, the Chisora rematch. I think the Chisora rematch could happen. Right. I think like September, October. But I don't think it'll happen next. For Dillian, we're looking at probably the Brook card on May 27. Get out against a good world ranked fighter. Then I'd like him to fight Brazil at the beginning of September. And then I'd like him to fight Chisora. And then I'd like him to fight for a world title. If he beats Chisora. But Dillian's in a really good position. And what a time to be in a heavyweight division. Especially in this country.
Dillian will get the raving if you deliver Dave Allen a world title shot before.
No, I think Dillian's definitely going to get a world title shot before Dave Allen at the moment. But Dillian's one of those people that, like, he's been away, now he's back, and he has to know what day he's fighting and who he's fighting, and he's very intense, and because he's a pro. You know, he's on it massively. You got to realise this guy takes it seriously. He's
Jennings.
Yeah, I like the Jennings fight. We want to get Dillian someone a bit taller because he's boxed so many shorter fighters. Dave Allen, Lewinson, Chisora. So I want to try and get him a nice tall heavyweight. Brazil, perfect. Yeah.
That's a good fight.
Great fight. So.
Announcement on Brook and.
Yeah, hopefully this week. I mean, no secret. May the 27th, Bramall Lane is what we're targeting. Yeah. We've put the application into the council, I think, for 29,000 at Bramall Lane, and we're just waiting for the all clear, and that'll get announced.
So, plan B to this, yeah?
What venue?
Venue and date.
We could go to the O2 on June the 3rd, but I want to do this in Sheffield. He deserves that big fight in Sheffield. He's really motivated for this fight, and this is the best fight in the welterweight division. I haven't seen Furman Garcia yet, but I hear it was decent without being a barn burner. This is a barn burner. This is the best fight in the welterweight division, trust me.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a better fight than what it was.
Furman Garcia. Oh, I followed it on Twitter.
It was like, okay. Yeah,
Furman won it easy the first half, and then Garcia nicked a few rounds later, something like that. But it seemed like he coasted 4 or 5 rounds, Thurman, just winning the meeting.
Yeah, they will be now, obviously.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Tough fight. I believe Kell Brook's going to knock Errol Spence out. So does someone else who knows the game very, very well, but I'm not going to put him in it.
Okay. That's a solid hour.
Sorry about that.
It's alright. Right, have you got anything else you'd like to add?
No, a couple of housekeeping notes. One, the Next Generation show on March 17th at York Hall. Come down to that. Not many tickets left, promise you. Some really good little fights. Some top young fighters coming through. It's going to be a great night of action. March 25th, Crawler Linares 2 at the MEN, or otherwise known as the Manchester Arena. The whole of the bottom tier now has gone. We're well deep into the top tier. Let's bang it out for Anti Crawler, looking sensational in training. Ricky Burns, April the 15th, got a presser next week actually in Glasgow for that. Couple of British title defences on there, Scotty Cardle, Charlie Edwards, Callum Johnson is going to fight Schiller Hippottle, who is a big step up for him. Might not mean a lot to you, but check him out. And Charlie Flynn in a decent fight, Joe Ham, Josh Kelly making his debut as well. And then the big one. Oh no, then Liverpool. Murray Rosado, tickets going really well for that. Ryder against Fielding, Masha, Farrell, a couple of Olympians on as well. Then the big one, Joshua Klitschko. And then May the 13th, Yafai will announce his opponent this week and hopefully get that Eggington fight nailed as well.
Got 2 in May, 27th hopefully and the 13th.
Yeah, probably 3. We might do another Next Gen show in May as well.
In between, maybe.
Yeah. The Next Gen stuff's just going to be...
The Next Gen show, sorry.
Yeah, the Next Gen stuff's outside of our sort of boxing dates. It's just something a little bit extra. So the undercard's going to be streamed on Sky Sports Facebook, and sort of 2 or 3 of the bigger title fights will be live on Sky Sports. So I'm excited about that. Great deal with JD announced last week. Fantastic for the fighters. Probably a couple of new signings coming in the next couple of weeks.
What's happening with Ortiz then? Is he fighting Jarrell Miller?
I'm trying to do the Ortiz Miller fight. It's been a bit frustrating because we're just clearing up the US TV on Joshua Klitschko, and that's kind of like, until that's done.
Does that headline its own thing?
Co-feature.
Yeah.
Co-feature. Cleverly as well. We're looking at a number of options actually now outside of Bramer. Hopefully get that nailed this week. Just really working now these next 3 or 4 days on the Joshua undercard.
Have you got anything for that?
I'd like to do Campbell Mendy.
Yeah.
I think Quigg's going to be in a decent fight on there as well. And I'm looking at another World Championship fight as well. And then possibly Olympic debut or 2. Kate Taylor.
Sticking any other heavyweights on that?
Yeah, I might end up with Ortiz on there. But I need the right fight for Ortiz. if we're going to do 3 championship fights plus Katie Taylor and some Olympians, they've got to be real good, solid 50-50 fights. So Campbell Mendy, I think, is a great start if we can get that one over the line. And then the world title fight I'm planning is a very tough fight for one of our guys. And you know, we need Quig in a real test as well.
Would you be happy if you got the same numbers for Joshua Klitschko?
No, I think he'll do more.
More.
Oh, if it did the same numbers as Bellew, I wouldn't be. I mean, that's the budgeted number, so I wouldn't be disappointed. But I believe this will break all box office records.
Respect. All right.
Don't leave me hanging. Otherwise, do I want to cuddle? No. I only cuddle, Daddy. The worst. I am the worst ring. I have the worst ring celebrations in the world. Like, it took me a long time to get over the Frotch Butte one.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This was up there. It's not quite as cringe as Frotch Butte, but it was pretty bad. I just really lose my shit in there. Like when I can't, you know.
There's people out there that genuinely think that Bellew actually proper mugged you.
Yeah, that affects me. Someone goes,
what
Someone goes, what? Someone goes, what? Why do you not get on with Bellew?
Do you know what stick we got for some of our titles?
Yeah, but your titles are bad. You've got to stop that.
What?
No, they're bad.
What, like what?
Oh, let's have a look. My phone's run out of battery. You're so lucky. But right, get your Twitter up, right? IFL Twitter, and just let me read some out because they are. I mean, talk about goading and like hype. You take it to the next level.
Yeah, but it's not always me, remember?
No, but it's bad. It's
I love
it's
our
like
titles.
insane. It's like pure beef. Give us it.
Wait.
Just go to IFL Twitter.
There you go.
Boxing friends. Carl Frotch embraces Tony Bellew.
That's what happened. I'm not lying about that. It's not deceitful.
Rant. Tony Bellew on repercussions in build-up. I've never met you. I hate you. Come here, lad. The big girl from Alabama.
Yeah, but these are quotes from the video, so I don't see what we're doing wrong here.
No, that's okay. When you quote from the video, that's fine.
That's what I think.
Absolutely savage. Katie Taylor completely destroys Monica Gentili.
Did she or did she not?
Yeah, but it's just...
What? What's wrong with that? I don't see the point.
Balls of donkey and elephant.
That's what Frank Bruno said in the video that Tony Bellew had.
But it's when you do a... Distraught. David Haye carried by team.
I don't see what the problem is here. I really don't. Love our titles.
Damn, that boy is good.
Ted Cheek.
Yeah, but that's not a quote.
No, but I say.
No, so damn, that boy is good.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, of course I get it, but
It's great.
explicit language. Crazy boxing fans goes X-rated against Haye to other fans and Adam Smith. Who was that?
Didn't you hear that geezer that was at the weigh-in was just going, "Hey, you're a man, you're a man." You must have heard.
Oh, what, the guy with...
Yeah, the Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, yeah. He had a go at Adam Smith as well.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it's just you're just going a bit over the top.
Yeah, but that's good. I like that. I want to think of more weird.
Bad
titles.
blood. Look, bad blood. Rant.
Yeah.
Fan taunts Haye.
Well, he was taunting Haye.
But you are.
Yeah, but it's good.
You're hype. War peanut. Lee Selby versus Andoni Gargo Wayne.
What peanut?
Heated words exchanged.
That's held up.
And another one. Heated.
Held up.
Hung like a rhino.
Held up.
Wait.
Yeah, but come on.
I think a lot of this, best of enemies, a lot of this is held up.
So what? Listen, it's all for the good of the
Listen,
sport.
I don't believe in overhyping things.
Eddie, thank you very much for talking to iFall TV, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Will do. Cheers.